Hello my friends, Tyler here, and this is Game Life. I was looking at what the progression is in games, how I can differentiate between them, and I was able to come up with 3. So we're going to take an exploration of those in this video. First of all, a quick overview. We have cost, experience, and skill. Those are the 3 different types. Each of these can be compelling or meaningless. These are tools in a developer's belt. How they are used directly correlates to how good they are in the game. Next, we have these are not mutually exclusive. Some games might only employ one of these types of progression, but most games use them in different amounts and at different times. That leads us to, these are solutions to different specific problems. Each of these have benefits and downfalls. Cost might be good for one type of solution, experience might be good for another type of solution. It really depends on the problem. Some quick ideas of what these solutions might be good for. Cost for naturally compelling gameplay, experience for when you need a tutorial or exploration, and skill for challenges and risk. Let's dive deeper into the cost-based progression. We proceed when we pay. What is that payment? Well, it can be either giving up money, items, actions, or time. That might be real money. Some games do have real money paywalls, but we're generally thinking about the in-game items. So in-game money, in-game items, and, well, real life time. This is somewhat limited because knowledge and skill of the game is irrelevant and cost can only be altered. So no matter how good you are at it, how knowledgeable you are at the game, you're going to have to pay your cost in these types of progressions. Then we have the downsides. So cost-based progression is really grindy, and it usually follows the loop of earning to spend, to earn more, to spend more. However, it does have some valid uses. It can extend fun gameplay. If you already have gameplay that is fun, then making it cost-based progression just means that players are going to be playing it a lot, and that's fine. It can also be used for time gates. If you need to know that your players aren't going to progress through the main storyline too quickly or all at once, then cost-based progression segments will slow them down and give you an idea of how long it'll take them. Sometimes it can be fun to entertain accumulation so that players have millions and then billions and then trillions of something, but that's better for specific genres. Some examples would be RuneScape, when you have to get level 99 at something to get level 99 and the other skills so that you get level 99 in all skills. Part of the fun of that game is just going through the grind. Idle games, those are the epitome of grinding and cost-based progression. You have to fill up a bar so you can fill up another bar. And then we have survival games. In the early game, when you are constantly forced to mine rocks and get wood so that you could build better weapons and armor so that you could survive, that would be the type of game that has cost-based progression at the very start. And then once you go later on, it's going to be more skill-based. A quick example of this is an idle game. So we're going to collect some wood. You have to collect it. Didn't think the progress bars were going to fill up that way, did you? Now we have a forge. We have to use it. This progress bar is going to go this way. Similar for the train unit. See, we're just sitting here waiting for bars to fill up. That's what the gameplay is. If that's not fun and compelling, then the game itself wouldn't be fun and compelling. This is more like an idle game, so in this case, that's the whole game. This type of progression can also be used for smaller segments of a bigger game. And then there we go, or we get a reward, twice as much wood, which really just helps us complete this loop faster. Now let's explore experience-based progression. We proceed when we learn. We have to keep learning. We learn when we experiment, when we have trial and error, or if the narrative tells us or outside info tells us. So some limitations to that. Skill and brute force are limited. Of course, trial and error and experimentation, those are kind of brute force, and you can be good at those types of things, but that's much more limited. You have to learn. That's the point. And that can only be aided. You can't make a player learn. You can only give them the opportunities that they need to learn. Some downsides, spoilers and giveaways. If you have an interactive story and somebody tells the player the end of it, it's going to kind of ruin the game. You could also watch a game be played and get the full experience if it's entirely experience-based progression. Another thing is min-maxing. Once the experimentation is all done by the player base, sometimes it takes away from the game because everyone knows where to go just to get the best results, even if your game isn't about getting the best results, but the process of getting there. Some uses. Tutorials. Tutorials are about learning, so of course an experience-based progression would be good for that part of the game. It also encourages exploration and collaboration. While the players are going through the process of learning the game and experimenting and having trial and error, that's good for exploration and collaboration. It's going to make them want to talk to each other. It might make a community stronger. Some examples are Factorio. Of course, a lot of that game is figuring out how to best make your factory, and you do that as you learn. Puzzles and point and click and interactive stories, those are all heavily experience-based. Let's take a look at an example of an experience-based game. The whole point of a spot the difference game is to spot the difference. If I was to tell you where the differences are, you wouldn't play it. And there's not really much skill or cost to playing it. You just look and you have fun. That's the point. So go ahead and pause, see if you can find the difference between each of these sides, and I'll see you in a second. All right, I'm about to show you. And if you skipped looking for them or you couldn't find them, once I show you, it kind of takes away. You can't play the game anymore, but I'll show it to you. There we go, the little keychain right there, if you could call it that. On one side, it's different than the other. But there's also another one inside of this picture frame or window, whatever it is. There's one figure on one side and two figures on the other. Kind of creepy. All right, now into skill-based progression. The way we proceed in skill-based progression is by improvement. We actually have to improve as players to be able to progress. We improve when we practice and when we study. And then we display it as part of the gameplay as well. Limitations. Skill-based progression is influenced by time and actions. As you spend time and as you perform actions within a game, you are going to develop some skill or you will plateau. And it can vary by player to player. Some players are naturally good at some genres. Then we have the downsides. This type of progression is very reliant on hardware and player capabilities. If a person with 2 arms and hands is playing on a super gaming PC, they are going to do better than if they lost both of their hands and were playing on a cheap laptop. Of course, that's more of the player's concern than it would be for the developers. Really, that only ties in when you're making accessibility options. Some uses. All right, it's good for exciting gameplay. You are forcing your players to do the best they can to progress. You're pushing them to their limits, or if they're doing something that's easier, then they'll get to be in that flow state. It can be competitive if you're in a multiplayer game that's skill-based. Most people are going to try to be better than everyone else. There's some risk because there's the possibility of failure and success. If you're not good enough at a game, you will fail at it. And if you're betting anything, that's some risk. But that's super fun when you start to succeed. Some examples, Overwatch, maybe Counter-Strike, really any type of FPS, really heavy on the mechanical skills there. Turn and real-time strategy, those are more for a tactical skill. And then fighting games, those are super skill-based for your progression in either mechanical or strategy. Example time. All right, on one side we have tactical, and on the other side we have mechanical, because those are the kind of 2 sides of skill. On this side, let's say we have a new player. They might try to send their units up this way, and of course all their units are going to die instantly. As you get more skilled, you'll see that you have the tactical mind to send your units towards the fewer enemies, so that way your units have a better chance at winning. And then for mechanical skill base, let's say we have a little FPS here and you're trying to shoot these little weirdo monsters. If you can't aim at those creatures, you're not going to be able to progress. You have to be able to aim at them quickly and keep aiming at them accurately as you play, and that will allow you to progress through a level. So this was just a quick exploration of these ideas. You must have a favorite game. Which of these types of progression does your game employ the most? Is it only one type of these progressions? Leave a comment with your thoughts on your favorite game. We're going to be exploring core progression styles in future games later. Maybe take a look at them. I hope you're around to see that. Thanks for watching this video. Have a good day.